This Sunday we're into the third Sunday in the season after Pentecost, and we are well into the stride of our summer liturgies. Remember, we still have our Rite One service in the chapel at 8 o'clock, our Lakeshore services out at Lakeshore Park at 9 a.m., and then the Rite Two service with choir at 10:30 in the church. And as I said last week, we are going to try to sing some of the favorite hymns of St. John's. And if you have a hymn that we haven't sung in a while, please, I encourage you to speak to Unjan or myself or drop me an email. We can't promise that we're going to sing everybody's favorite hymn, but we will do as much as we can to work in some of the favorite hymns of the congregation. One of the at least favorite hymns of the entire congregation. It may not be any one person's particular favorite, but one hymn that has really been very popular among St. John's is hymn 424, "For the Fruit of All Creation, Thanks Be to God." And this is a hymn that we often sing on the Sunday closest to Thanksgiving for obvious reasons, but it has a text that is so much more expressive than just that. In the gospel for this Sunday, we have more of this Great Commission sort of theme where Jesus is sending out his apostles at the very beginning of his ministry and telling them to spread God's love throughout the land. And if you get past the first verse of "For the Fruit of All Creation," if you get deeper into the text by Fred Pratt Green, a very justly famous hymn writer that was active all through the 20th century, it talks about, in the just reward of labor, God's will be done. In the help we give our neighbor, God's will be done. In our worldwide task of caring for the hungry and despairing. And then in that third verse, "For the harvests of the Spirit, thanks be to God. For the truths that still confound us, but most of all for that love has found us, thanks be to God." Really getting into the heart of what it means to spread the gospel. And in our hymnal, this wonderful text is set to a tune by, again, a 20th century legend or foundation in English church music, Francis Jackson. And it's a really clever tune because it's easier than it might seem at first. It has a phrase, and then it repeats that phrase up a step, and then it has a phrase, and then it sort of goes back to the first phrase, but then moved up again. Then it follows that same pattern up 3 notes. And then something different. With that final phrase kind of echoing the first 2 phrases. So you can see that sweep of the melody repeats, and it makes that tune a lot more easy to sing. So a very interesting tune, a very singable tune, and something that has been very popular here at St. John's. Picking up on that theme of going out and spreading the gospel, at the choir at the offertory will be singing Mendelssohn's "How Lovely Are the Messengers That Preach Us the Gospel of Peace." And this is a movement that came from an oratorio that he wrote, and it was all texts from the epistles of St. Paul. And it's a very attractive piece. Mendelssohn was well known, even in his lifetime, as a very gifted melodist, that his melodies are really very catchy and endearing. So a wonderful piece that is a very familiar piece to us as well. At the end, again, hearkening back to that theme of the Great Commission, we will sing, "Lord, You Give the Great Commission." And in the hymnal 1982, it was matched with a tune that is a little bit tricky. It doesn't really flow maybe as well as some others. Has some kind of quirky things to it. So when the editors of the hymnal companion, the supplemental hymnal Wonder, Love, and Praise, were gathering, they thought this is such a wonderful text that they wanted to have it to a more familiar tune. And so in our hymnal supplement, they paired it with the really soaring melody of Abbott's Lee. And we'll be singing that. It will be in an insert, but this very familiar tune that we enjoy singing so much. So wonderful words, a little bit easier to sing. So we hope that as you think about your discipleship, the opportunities that you have to show God's love to the world, that you will come and worship with us here at St. John's Cathedral.